Hi, my name is Mikhaila Peterson. This is my first YouTube video, so excuse me if it's slow and unedited because I'm not going to edit it. Yep. Anyway, if you don't know me, you may have heard of my dad, Jordan Peterson. If you don't know him, that's cool too. A bit of a background. Well, actually, I'm going to post the Joe Rogan right here. That goes into an over-detailed explanation of what happened to me in the last 25 years, but, it takes about 20 minutes to get through. So that would be the best way to do it. I'll give a really quick overview here. I was basically sick, very sick, since I was born. I was born through a C-section. I got a strep infection before the age of 1.5. I was put on antibiotics. I got thrush really badly after that. When I started walking, I was limping, when I started walking, so I had arthritic symptoms literally at 16 months. I was diagnosed with juvenile rheumatoid arthritis at age 7, put on naproxen, Enbrel, methotrexate, immune suppressants, got cortisone injections, I was basically in a wheelchair in grade 2. The Enbrel and methotrexate helped, and the cortisone injections helped, and I was able to have, honestly, had a pretty good time as a kid. I was diagnosed with chronic depression. When I was in grade 5, I was put on antidepressants, just tapered up and tapered up and tapered up till I was 23. When I was 14, I started getting itchy, really itchy, mosquito bites all over my legs, but nothing visible itchy. And I got really tired, but I thought it was a teenage thing. When I was 17, I got my hip and ankle replaced from the arthritis, even though I was on medication. My joints still disintegrated. I was on OxyContin for a year. When I went to university, I gained 35 pounds, and my mental health plummeted, and I went crazier than I already was, and it was awful. So I was having hypomanic episodes, and I was chronically fatigued. Eventually, I was put on Adderall. So then I was amphetamine up, which was amazing compared to being chronically fatigued. But, I used to set an alarm for 7 in the morning, groggily wake up, I'd have the Adderall beside my bed, pop an Adderall, go back to sleep, and then I'd wake up 40 minutes later when it was, in me, and just, spring out of bed, do some exercise, and then at this point, I'd gone back to university because I was I'm going to die from my health problems. No one seems to be helping, so I guess I'll figure it out myself. So I went back to university. At the same time, I started having really horrible skin problems. So not only was I chronically fatigued, miserably itchy, miserable, having hypomania occasionally. What else was wrong? And I had this hip and ankle replacement. But then it hit my skin, so then people could tell I was sick on the outside, which that was enough. I'd had enough. So, like I said, I went back to university to try and figure out what was wrong with me, and I figured I'd have to do bachelor of science and then go into immunology and whatever. Anyway, I read hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of papers, mostly on skin issues, to try and figure out what the hell was going on, because I was getting these rashes. I was getting rashes on my back, on my bum, cystic acne. I started getting blisters on my fingers, and then they were on my elbows, and then they were on my knees, and then they were on my toes. Randomly, one summer, they just came, and then it was really mostly just my fingers, which is still a big deal. Having blisters on your fingers sucks. And I was going to doctors, obviously. I'd been going to doctors for my whole life. I was going to doctors being like, what's this new symptom? What's this new symptom? And they were basically saying, well, your anxiety seems to be playing a big role here. Maybe if you stopped itching this rash, it would go away. And I was, no. So I went back to university. Was really not happy with the medical community at this point because they were starting to blame my new symptoms that were really driving me crazy on my anxiety. And it turned out my anxiety worsened when my skin condition worsened, so that makes it slightly more difficult to diagnose, but not a huge fan of blaming the patient. Anyway, I found out I had the celiac gene, so I did 23andMe, found out I had the celiac gene, and at the same time was prescribed Dapsone, which worked really well on this rash I was experiencing. Turns out celiac disease silent celiac disease, it's called, so when you don't really have gut pain, because I never thought I had any stomach problems or gut problems. Anyway, you can get this itchy blistering rash called dermatitis herpetiformis, just really unpleasant. But the itch started when I was 14 and the rash started when I was 21, so I never associated them together. Anyway, I was prescribed Dapsone, which worked really well, but is this like horrible antibiotic, but very effective. And I found out I had the celiac gene, so I decided to cut out gluten right away. And then I went from researching skin disorders and autoimmune disorders to researching gluten and its effect on the gut. Immediately cut it out. Honestly, didn't see that much of an improvement. Probably 20%, but it's hard to say because it was summer. But my memory, like my short-term memory, was shot back then, and the Adderall did not help. But I can kind of remember that summer. So that was summer 2015. And my skin probably healed like 20%. But man, you should have seen I'll show you right here. December 2014, I went away for Christmas, and I got these like sores on my face, and they didn't heal. So I went to see a doctor and was like, fix me. And they said, I don't know. And so I went back home and was like, okay, well, we're just going to hope that these sores heal, I guess. And my parents, so we kind of just like waited. It was like 3 weeks of being like, no, they're not healing yet. Like, is Mikhaila going to have open sores on her face forever? Anyway, they did eventually heal ridiculously slowly. And now I know that was related to the amount of dessert I was eating. I was eating like cake every day at Christmas. So that's what happened for that flare up. But it really scared me because I had a cousin, like a second cousin who had a skin autoimmune disorder that kind of looked like what was happening to me. And I was like, oh God, I don't want another one. So I cut out gluten. And then September 2015, I went on an elimination diet randomly. I mean, this is all on the Joe Rogan thing if you want to do it that way. But I was very skeptical, and it ended up improving things like dramatically. It was a strict elimination diet. I didn't just cut out sugar. I cut out like processed foods. I was eating meat and greens and rice and eggs, and that was it. And it helped a lot. My skin started to heal, and I lost. So at this point, I had already lost weight from living at home and not surviving off of Cinnamon Toast Crunch, ginger ale, and beer. But I lost 5 pounds in the first month, and I went down 3 pant sizes. So that was just basically bloating. So I was like pretty impressed at the end of the month because I suddenly like had a flatter stomach, which was very encouraging. Anyway, at this point I wasn't taking my Enbrel or methotrexate anymore because I was trying to monitor my joint flare-ups after I'd gotten rid of the gluten. I was still taking Adderall, 40 milligrams in the morning, Gravol to sleep, an antibiotic. Nope. Maybe sometimes. I was always on some sort of antibiotic. My antidepressants, because I thought I'm never getting off of those, and like no one's going to make me get off of those because I will be crazy if I get off of those. Birth control, over-the-counter medication. I was taking puffers and things for like environmental allergies. So that was fall 2015. Then my symptoms started to go away. I tried to reintroduce some things that didn't go well, like almonds went badly, and I ended up with this full body itch where literally I was so itchy that I would scratch my legs in my sleep and end up with bloody legs in my sleep. So then I started wearing fake nails so that when I scratched myself in my sleep, I wouldn't make my legs bleed. Like, how insane is that? So the itch got worse with the almond reintroduction. Anyway, I stuck with this really strict diet for a month, and my depression started to lift. And I thought that my depression was a chemical imbalance and was genetic because my dad has it, my grandpa has it, and that was just what I was stuck with. And it started to lift, and I tapered down my antidepressants in November 2015, and I had never been able to do that before, especially not in the winter because it always got worse in the winter. I thought it was lack of sun. Now I think it was because maybe I ate more dessert in the winter. I don't know. But I tapered them down, I got off of them, and I felt like I'd never felt in my entire life. my fatigue started going away, so I tapered down the Adderall. And then I tried the food reintroductions because I had been still reintroducing at that point. I'd just taken a break then. And I had the most horrific experiences off of the antidepressants, reintroducing food that I'd previously been surviving off and on for a year. And I meticulously kept track of these reactions because I thought half of me, maybe more than half of me thought I was crazy. I couldn't find any information online from anybody else who'd experienced this. I went to doctors, I went to immunologists. I said, what the hell is going on? I think I'm allergic to almonds. I think I'm allergic to soy. I think I'm allergic to sugar. And they were basically well, it doesn't show up on a skin test. I'm like, yeah, I'm not allergic that way. I'm allergic a different way. It's a delayed reaction. They're like, well, delayed reactions. So obviously that was no use. So for a year, I just had these awful, beyond awful food reintroduction, autoimmune flare-ups. And it was really scary, and I was really alone. I felt really alone. My dad at this point was on a similar diet. He immediately started losing weight. He went, you've seen him now. He's looking fine. But he went from 218 to 165 over the next 2 years on this diet. But I was trying to get his depression under control because mine seemed to be barely controllable on this weird low-carb diet that I'd come up with. Turns out the diet that I had come up with was very similar to the autoimmune protocol, which is linked here. You can see that list. It was very similar, so I was like, okay, it's not in my head. There's something to cutting these certain foods out. But after a year of monthly autoimmune disorder horror, and I mean, that was bad that year, I decided, screw it, I don't need to reintroduce foods anymore. I'll just be happy on my limited diet. And then I was happy, and then I got pregnant, and then my autoimmune symptoms came back, and I started reacting to the foods that I'd been okay with. So that sucked. So I went lower and lower carbs. I got rid of the sweet potatoes. I got rid of the parsnips. I got rid of the apples. I went down to meat and greens, and that was hard. Getting off of the sugar, even just cutting out the apples and getting rid of the last fruit was hard. It was amazingly difficult for just cutting out the little sugar I had left. And that helped, but I was still having these autoimmune symptoms. And I was like, maybe it's the pregnancy. Except that I was itchy, right, and arthritic. But you can get joint pain during pregnancy, supposedly. You can get itching. I mean, every symptom is normal during pregnancy. So I just prayed it would go away. And then I had my baby. That went really well. I had her at home because I was so disillusioned with doctors and hospitals. And that went, man, I kicked ass, really. It was amazing. I can get into that later. Anyway, things didn't get better, after she was born. I was a little bit less emotional, but I was still itchy, I was still arthritic, my skin was randomly breaking out, and I still had this weird doomy feeling, impending, horrible doom, cloud of doom. I was like, what the hell is going on? I'm literally eating. At this point, I was literally eating salt and pepper, apple cider vinegar, all organic, apple cider vinegar, olive oil, and lettuce, and salmon and chicken and beef. That was my diet. And I was like, if this isn't solving my depression episodes, maybe it's just back. And then in December, I got rid of everything except for the meat. And then late December, early January, I got rid of the chicken and fish. So I've been eating only beef since January 2018. And only meat since December 2017. So it's almost been a year. And transitioning over to just beef was also terrifying. My digestion, which had normalized on the low carb, just got screwed up in a scary way. I started getting bloated. I started getting dizzy after I ate. I started getting this weird drunk feeling after I ate, and I wasn't even eating carbs. I was just eating meat. But I was like, I have no other options here. So I stuck with it, and about the 6-week period, things got easier. Well, about a week in, actually, I got less itchy and my joints stopped hurting. I I was like, okay. But my digestion was so messed up that I reintroduced salad, and then I woke up the next morning and I was teary and I was itchy and arthritic. I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna try doing this just try doing it. What have I got to lose? So at around the 6-week point, my depression seemed to lift a little bit, but I never got to how good I was feeling when I first went low carb. And then at the 5-month period, my positive emotions started coming back. And then I was as good as I was low carb before the pregnancy. So since then, things have been amazing, really. I have no symptoms. I'm still as sensitive as I was. I can't ingest anything other than beef or I have an autoimmune disease. So, still not sure what the underlying cause is of that. I've looked into things. Like, I keep getting people who are like, well, maybe you have a vitamin deficiency. Just like, thank God you came around and told me my, vitamin D was low, and that's been my problem. Anyway, I've tried, doing things. I did high-dose vitamin D therapy. I took molybdenum for people who know about molybdenum. I don't want to get into it. I did things, though. I tried probiotics. I did all the testing I could do. I went through the medical community for 25 years. Well, yeah, 25 years. Trying to fix my problems. It's not like we haven't been down some roads here. I went to naturopaths for 15 years. The beef thing has treated my problems. I wake up in the morning, and I don't wake up and then I'm half awake and then I can't move and I'm really tired and I hate everything and impending doom comes in, and then I drag my half limp body out of bed. I literally wake up and then I'm awake. If I wake up in the middle of the night, I'm awake. I sleep for 6.5 hours a night. I was sleeping for 18 hours a night. 18 hours a night before the Adderall. I can drive without passing out. I have more energy than I know what to do with. I'm going to the gym again. I started 2 weeks ago, so I haven't been going for very long. I'll show you what I look like, because compared to how I looked, this is amazing. And it's not the gym, because I only just started doing that. I'm sure it'll improve because I started going to the gym, which I'm enjoying. I used to go to the gym and it was just exhausting, and it's like, where are my abs? All I'm doing are ab workouts, and why do I have a belly? So yeah, things are fantastic. I run a blog called Don't Eat That, linked below. I've been kind of chronicling? Anyway, not entirely sure if that's a word, but, and I'm not editing this video, so now it's up there for everyone to see. But I've been writing down my food journey since my pregnancy, so 2016. So there are recipes on there when I was low carb, but now I'm doing just beef. I'm going to be doing beef for the foreseeable future. My dad's on just beef, and his depression is under control, and this is lifelong. This isn't depression, hopeless depression. This is autoimmune, crippling, cloud of doom depression. Volatility. I don't know how to explain it exactly. But it's under control with diet. So my mom's on it. Her gut problems seem to have gone away. She had diverticulitis, and she had a colonoscopy this year, and it's gone. That's not supposed to happen. This seems to be working for people. I don't really know what to think about it. I'll delve into that in future videos, but check out the blog. I'm going to post videos of cooking things, questions people have, videos to prove that I'm alive and doing just fine on only eating beef. I'm not even eating salt anymore. Yeah, I'll show you what I look like, because I'm pretty pleased with myself. And I've had a baby. I am young, but I did not look like this before the diet. You can tell from the old video that I will post take a look at that. That was when I was 19 and like half dead, but talking about how great antidepressants are, because honestly they were, compared to eating what I was eating and suffering. Anyway, this is what I look like. So this is no tensing. This is tensing. No tensing. Like, it's amazing. It's amazing. And it'd be dramatically better if I was actually, I've started exercising now that I have energy. I wasn't exercising before because my ankle is shit because of the replacement, and I was, trying to not die. So I didn't have excess energy to spend, like, damaging my muscles. But now I do because I'm so full of energy. So, yeah, welcome to my channel. If you want to subscribe.